Hey there, happy Friday, and welcome to my second edition of Travel News Live for the week. I did this first time last week and people seemed to enjoy it, so I thought I would keep it going. What I'm going to cover today are the top news stories regarding travel for this week. And if you would like to receive this exact thing in your inbox, which isn't just the video, but also just the links to the articles that I'm talking about and the top news for this week, then please go ahead and join our newsletter and I will put links in the description. So without further ado, let's go ahead and dive into this week's articles. Give me 1 second as I bring up the first. All right, the first one I want to talk to you about is that Airlines had a letter to the president, to the US president this week, to request that mask mandates and pre-entry testing be eliminated. They felt that not only is it a pain for their employees and passengers to have to deal with this situation, but because of our vaccination rates, our immunity rates, it being widely available, quality masks being widely available, they felt that this is something that could be dropped immediately, especially since a lot of international airlines are doing the same thing. So they have put in a letter to the president to specifically request that it be dropped immediately. Now, at the moment, the mask mandate has been extended to April 18th. So it's just a matter of time to figure out whether Biden's going to agree to this or not. So you'll have to stay tuned and see if they've been successful. And the airlines that have done this are 10 members of the Airlines for America. So that includes United, American, Delta, Southwest, JetBlue, Hawaiian, a lot of the big names in American Airlines. And so hopefully, I would like it to at least drop the mask mandates. But if you feel more comfortable wearing a mask, then of course you will still be able to do that when you're flying. All right, number 2 is the 11 simple ways to get better gas prices this year. So when I was looking for articles this week, I noticed there wasn't really a lot of new information to share. The war in Ukraine is kind of where it's at. There's no new developments there with regard to travel. COVID kind of is the same. I know I've heard of some spikes in some countries, but it hasn't affected travel yet. In fact, many countries are still removing their restrictions, and we'll talk about one of those coming up in one of the articles today. So a lot of it is going to be revolving around tips for making your travel better. That's what I've been finding this week in searching through all of the travel news articles from around the world. And this one I thought was of particular interest because if you are looking to take a road trip this year, especially with fuel costs completely through the roof, I found this article to be particularly helpful so that you can save perhaps a little bit of money on your road trip this year. So let me quickly go over some of the highlights of the article. They are saying there are ways to save. One is to use apps such as the AAA mobile app, Gas Buddy, Gas Guru, Geico, and even Waze. If you look on your apps, they can show you which of the gas stations near you have the cheapest rates. So utilizing those. Also, if you have a credit card that offers you cash back or a discount on gas, absolutely utilize that. For instance, Discover, I believe for the spring this year, has a 5% cash back on any gas purchases, but there are credit cards that also offer similar discounts throughout the year. And you can actually go onto NerdWallet to be able to get a listing of all of the credit cards that will give you discounts on gas. Also, a good tip if you're going on a road trip is not stopping at the gas stations immediately off of the highways. Because those are so convenient, they tend to have higher prices. So if at all possible, plan your gas stops a little further away and you should be able to find a little bit cheaper prices. You also want to keep up with your maintenance. So by having your tire pressures at the right amount and also keeping your air filter clear, it will help with your gas utilization. If your tires are under deflated, it can really slog on your gas and really use more gas because it's taking more effort to flow to drive, if that makes any sense. So keeping your car in tip-top shape will help with your gas consumption. The other thing to do is to drive better. And I'm sure you've heard of this before, but if you can keep a consistent, slow, unfortunately, rate of travel, you can have more efficient gas usage. They say it's 50 miles per hour, which is kind of slow if you're going on the interstates, especially in America. But if you want to still get the best gas mileage you can, maybe just go on a scenic route instead and avoid those interstates so that you can keep it slow and smooth and be able to get the most gas usage. You know what I'm trying to say. Make it better. The other thing is to consider going to a closer destination. Obviously, if you're not traveling as far, you're not using as much gas. And on that note, pick cities and destinations that tend to have cheaper gas. I'm in California, so pretty much any other state I choose is going to have cheaper gas. But you can also strategize that. If you know there's a state that is particularly low in gas, maybe go there for your vacation this year. And then finally, go in a group. If you can travel together, you can help share that cost and reduce the amount that you're going to have to spend on your road trip this year. All right, moving along, let's go ahead and talk about some new developments with TSA and with your phone. And if you have not heard about this yet, Apple is developing a way for you to be able to put your ID on your phone. So it's the same thing. That's when you have your wallet and you can put your credit cards here. You can also start putting your driver's license. Now, this right now is only available in Phoenix at the Phoenix airport through their TSA. But what they do is you don't have to pull out your ID anymore. You have it on your phone, and that is what you present to TSA to get through the Phoenix airport. Now, this is only available if you have TSA pre-check. This is the first rollout of this situation. So if you find yourself at that airport, Sky Harbor, and you happen to have TSA pre-check, you will be able to upload your driver's license to your phone and be able to go through TSA that way. Now, you still need to have your physical ID with you as a backup. And again, it's only for pre-check. So if you're going through the regular TSA line, you won't be able to use it. But this is just the beginning. They are going to be rolling this out, they hope, quickly to many states over the next year. So this might be a new technological advance that will help getting through TSA lines much, much easier. All right, moving on. With regard to the Ukraine, there's not much news as far as progress where that's concerned. But if you are looking for ways that you would like to give back or try to help Ukrainians, there are a few ways you could do so through travel resources. One of those is your Airbnb. What you can do is you can rent Airbnbs from a Ukrainian in wherever they own property, assuming Ukraine, but I guess they can own property in other places. But you simply rent an Airbnb. You don't go, of course, because nobody should be going to Ukraine right now, but they get the proceeds from that rental. And what Airbnb has done is they have waived all fees for Ukrainians, so that way all proceeds go directly to the citizens of the Ukraine, or to that owner of that Airbnb. The other thing you can do is you can donate your miles and or cash to the airline. So for instance, United is accepting cash donations as well as airline miles donations. Now, this isn't going to be donating a specific flight for a specific person to fly them out of Ukraine. What this is doing is these airlines are actually donating this cash and this miles, and many of them are matching it. United is matching it and giving it to charitable organizations on the ground that are helping people on the ground. So that is one way to also give back to the Ukraine. And the link in the description below has a link to all of the airlines that are participating in this manner that you can contribute. If you don't have cash, you can give them your airline miles and be able to still make a difference. The last is Etsy. Now you can always search on Etsy for Ukrainian sellers and buy something from a Ukrainian seller. However, remember, the Ukrainians, only 30% of them have access to internet. So it isn't necessarily as helpful as if you were donating to a charity on the ground, but it is a way that you can help to contribute to the livelihood of the Ukrainians abroad. So those are some ways that you can help Ukraine if that's something that you're interested in. And then moving on, let's talk about more COVID easing. More restrictions are being dropped. And here are 6 European nations that have completely dropped it. So they don't care if you're vaccinated, unvaccinated. You don't have to test. You don't have to do the passenger locator forms anymore. You don't have to show any kind of a proof. They are completely open. And the 6 that we have on this list are Hungary, Iceland, Ireland, Norway, Romania, and Slovenia. Now, this is only the beginning. I'm sure as we move farther into summer, more and more, hopefully, we'll start dropping all restrictions so that you can freely come and go from that country without having to worry about your vaccination status, your testing, and everything else. If you are not comfortable, if you don't feel comfortable going to these locations because they're not checking, then please choose a location that is still checking, or go more local if that's more comfortable for you for travel this year. So next, if you are traveling this year, watch this video because it will give you some steps to saving more money on your flight. Sorry, that was a tongue twister. But it's ways to save more money because airlines are also increasing their costs because of fuel. So if you can save some money, this video will help you to figure out how to do that. And other than that, I want to thank you so much for stopping by. I appreciate you being here. And I will see you on the next video. Take care. Bye-bye.